We have loved being parents. We have loved every moment of what parenting is and then some.
So the funniest story about my kids, I would say, the fact that they have a love for old music. So I'm a child of the 80s, and so I've started to introduce them to music from the 80s and the 70s. They've taken this music on as their own, and so we often find them in their rooms singing stuff from Human League, if you know who that is, Earth, Wind and Fire. So we often find them doing concerts on their own.
We have a lot of make-believe things that just happen on the daily. The brothers fight about make-believe things. I mean, London threw a make-believe burger on the ground and Duke had a complete meltdown about it.
It was a mess, apparently, on our living room floor.
So this is just how they roll, and we just live in their world.
We went through several rounds of insemination, and when that didn't work, we explored foster care for a little bit, but then we set on adoption.
I always wanted to adopt kids. That had always been my path. I always knew from the time I was very young. I grew up with people who lived next door to me that were foster kids.
So when we found this adoption agency, we actually found them online. There was an ad, and the ad read, "Mother in Ohio, pregnant with twins, open to all families." We weren't necessarily interested in twins. We just thought since they were open to all families that we would actually give it a try. And we tried to get matched with other birth mothers, but they kept calling us about this one birth mom in Ohio who was pregnant with twins. So we decided to get matched with her. And we went through the entire pregnancy with her, and everything seemed to be great. We talked to her very often. We had updates on her doctor visits. And the day we were supposed to fly to Ohio for the twins' birth, we got a call late at night from our adoption agency. And they told us that the birth mother had changed her mind, that she no longer wanted to put the twins up for adoption, and that we should not get on the plane to go to Ohio. And so we were devastated. About 6 weeks after that, we received a litany of text messages at 3, 4 a.m. And when we looked at the phone, it was the birth mother. And she told us that she had made the biggest mistake of her life and that she loved the twins, but love was not enough to raise children. This woman had 3 kids already, who were all under the age of 10, and then she had twins after that. So she had 5 kids. So we asked her if she was sure that she wanted to put the twins up for adoption because we had already had the rug pulled from under us. And she said she was. So we called our adoption agency and they said, great, let's do this again, but it's a completely different engagement now. So now we have to go through the adoption process again. And about 2 weeks after that, we flew to Ohio quietly. We didn't tell our parents, we didn't tell anyone that we were going, just in case it fell through again. And we arrived in Ohio and met her at the lawyer's office. And that's where we first saw our boys. It was surreal. She gave us lessons on how to be, newborn parents and when to feed them, and it was like the most beautiful connection that we had ever had.
Being able to have this extended family unit within this adoption journey, which can obviously be crushing, and it was certainly hard for our birth mom too, but to be able to now come full circle, we are all a family unit. They have pictures of their sisters and their birth mom in their room. Just last week, the twins turned 6 years old, and the birth mom sent me a text message saying, if I had to make the choice all over again, I would do it. It's the same thing, and you guys are great moms to the boys, and thank you for everything. So before we had kids, we faced a lot of challenges. We had a hard time finding agencies that would adopt to same-sex families. Whenever we were talking about having kids through in vitro fertilization or artificial insemination, we had doctors who would not work with us or said that they would, but we'd have to find a different place to have our baby whenever that happened because the hospitals wouldn't work with us. And since having a family, we have also still experienced some challenges being an LGBTQ family. For example, our kids have had to become advocates in some ways.
Being a parent is hard enough, but then it compounds when you add the LGBTQ element on it. So ensure that you are ready for that responsibility. You could have parents who not accept you, you're gonna have students from their schools, you're gonna have teachers who question you, your neighbors, etc. Ensure that you're ready for that emotional toll because it's almost like a constant coming out.
Even as early as 2 years old, we had kids at their preschool that would ask them about why they have two moms. And we were constantly having to explain to them so that they were armed with the right information to tell other kids while also being respectful. But it's also challenging for us as parents because they come home and they say to us, "Where's my dad?" And we have to answer those questions, and we have to answer them repeatedly because they continue to only see a mom and a dad type of family whenever they go to their preschools and early education. So it's really important to us that we continue to always be very honest with them, just as we have been honest anytime someone says, "Hey, what's your husband's name?" We correct them, and we also have them do the same thing. We have unique challenge after challenge in our family, being that we are a same-sex family, we are also a non-religious family, and additionally, we are a minority family, all of us being Black within our family. So we have a lot of challenges that we constantly are having to overcome, but also just educate ourselves, educate our kids, and empower our kids to be able to stand up in their strength and in their belief, and also be part of the solution. So we are not people who stand on the sidelines. Our kids have been to Black Lives Matter protests. Our kids see us every day being part of organizations like Rainbow Roundup, Black Tie Dinner, and organizations that push our family unit forward, that support Black communities, that support same-sex communities, and that believe in free will and free expressions. And so we 100% are a family that we have a lot of different unique qualities within us, and we honor and appreciate all of them.
Our families, as LGBTQ families, we don't have a lot of resources. It's not the same to go to a play group with just heterosexual families. It's not the same experience. We need organizations who actually make our kids and us feel that we belong. And Rainbow Roundup is one of those organizations. So I highly recommend that if you haven't joined Rainbow Roundup or checked into it, you absolutely should.
We have met some really great friends that are lifelong friends, one of which is a couple who has a son that is exactly 1 day younger than our kids. And so they always get together on their birthdays. We've had him stay the night with us. And that's just a connection that we made on Rainbow Roundups, their own Facebook group. And so we are also part of and have been to some rallies that the trans kids families have had. There's so many great organizations here in Dallas to be part of and to support, and we're happy to be part of all of them. If you and your partner, or even you individually, feel that you have the love to give another child, like I said, I'm a big advocate of adoption. There's so many kids out there who just need to be loved and who want to feel like they belong.
There are lots of LGBTQ kids who need to be adopted. So I would say that if parenting is what you want to do and you're sure that's what you want to do, consider fostering and adopting, because there's a lot of kids out there that would actually need help.
We have such a beautiful story of how adoption can be done right, and to not fear people wanting to be part of your kids' lives and wanting to kind of shut that out, because the more love your kid can receive, the better.